Hello, and welcome to another update video about Ethereum. Ethereum yesterday with a spike above resistance. I mean, it lost it again, unfortunately, but it still is performing at the moment a little bit stronger again than Bitcoin. And at the moment, the idea that Bitcoin would be outperforming Ethereum over the last few weeks, that was absolutely correct. The forecast was correct. Things might be changing. It's a bit too early to say that. I will make a more extensive video on the ETHBTC chart, but I'm going to look at this in this video just briefly because not too much is happening on the shorter time frame. Unfortunately, it's Saturday again, right? It's going to be boring again, unfortunately. The idea on the ETHBTC chart is still, if it's finally loading it, that ETHBTC could come down still lower, and I will do a bit of a deep dive into the wave structure here. But at the moment, yeah, we see a bit of a green candle here, a reaction to our support area, which means Ethereum was underperforming against Bitcoin, right? And now things might be changing again. Things might be changing. It's a bit too early to confirm that. I will do a bit of a deep dive into this C wave, lower degree wave count stuff, and see if there is more room to go. There should be more room to go. There should be, but it's come close enough to support to say maybe it's bottom. But my primary expectation here would be there is more room to go, and Bitcoin should take the lead again. But we'll see. It's going to be interesting. We could see some more choppiness here before it heads down a bit lower. So there could be some very short term going up, Okay, on the Ethereum chart overall, looking at the bigger picture, we know that Ethereum is a bit further ahead in its wave count than Bitcoin. We've got a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 setup. So we've got actually 1-1-2 setup more than Bitcoin on the chart here, which means it's one wave degree ahead, which is potentially fairly bullish, which aligns with my view that Ethereum medium term would outperform Bitcoin, at least as soon as it flips on the ETHBTC chart. We have, however, reached a very important point, and that's of similar relevance as it's on the Bitcoin chart. So bullish structure down here, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 setup. Yes, it can still be interpreted as bearish as well, but I am going to say the same thing that I did in the Bitcoin video. We don't need to deal with the what ifs as long as bullish support levels are holding, right? Because sometimes people say I don't have a bearish wave count. Well, there is one, yeah, surely, and I do show it sometimes, but not in every video, of course, because as long as we're holding bullish support levels, we are bullish. Yeah, if those start to break, then we can always turn bearish, and the relevant support levels are telling us when we need to turn bearish. As long as bullish support is holding, why would you be focused on the downside? It's a bit like, being focused on the upside when you look at a chart that is in a lifetime downtrend, and we have lots of them in the crypto world. Yeah, so you go with the trend, okay, and the trend at the moment is up. But yeah, I mean, Ethereum has been struggling clearly, but it's sort of pushing against the ceiling here, so it's going to be interesting. Bit of an ascending triangle going on here overall, I think, against that resistance range here, which is between 1920 and 2020. I think there's a bit of a dynamic resistance range. It could even go a little higher, possibly even all the way up to 2140. But it's a massive range, right? It's a massive range, and I'm sure you could draw that in a different way here. Yeah, I'm sure we could even give it a bit more space. There are possibilities like that, and you could say, oh my goodness, maybe it's going to be a little bit more up and down, but hopefully not. We'll see. Essentially what I wanted to highlight, if this is really going to take off shortly, it needs to break above that range, above that resistance here, which to be honest goes all the way up to 2150. But and obviously Bitcoin is closer to that point already, Ethereum not, because Ethereum was underperforming, against Bitcoin in the last few weeks. But as you can see here, we had this area of trade, this massive range here as well. In May 22, Bitcoin is at a similar point. It's just further at the top. So maybe Ethereum is going to get there as well. But I think, there is not much left above that, what I have labeled here as an A wave high, this swing high in May, around 2150. So if it breaks above that level, as per the wave count as well, which would indicate a third wave rally, it could take us higher quite quickly. But of course, the condition is to break out of the range. That's what it needs to do. I think it's in a good way. It's getting a bit choppy again. But again, we've been talking about that over the recent weeks and months. And I said the move to the upside is probably going to be a rocky road. So don't be surprised if things are going to get difficult. if we get setbacks where we don't normally expect them. I don't necessarily expect typical third wave price action, because a lot of the stuff that we see on the Ethereum chart could be interpreted as a diagonal structure as well. So that would mean the third wave is part of a diagonal as well, which could indicate some choppiness. And if we see more evidence of that, I might change the count a little bit to reflect the diagonal structure, but essentially it doesn't change the targets. It just means that it might be very choppy on the way to the upside. And we see that, it's obviously difficult for Ethereum to break out of the range. It would be significant to break out of this current range. And then I think it can get quite quickly to that $3,000 level that I've been talking about, because it's literally about, okay, can the bulls really break out of this range? So it is certainly a level of interest. It's a level to watch. That's a massive resistance area here, but it's going actually all the way up to $2,150, yeah, which is also this high in April. Now, what would be a bearish wave count? Well, the bearish wave count is quite simple. This would be an A wave. Even though I'm counting that as an impulse, it's probably rather a diagonal or even something corrective, because you can count it as a diagonal. It does not adhere very well to Fibonacci extension guidelines. So it is absolutely possible that this is something more bearish here, this move up between June and August 2022. Now, if this is an A wave, then the move down would be a B wave, like in a flat pattern, not overshooting, but still a deep B wave. And this here could be a C wave to the upside, maybe in a diagonal, as I said, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down. C wave, ending diagonal, okay? Possibility. So be aware of that. I mean, but then, that's just guesswork. That's the what if. But we can only analyze what we see. We can only trade what we see. We can only trade what we see, go with the trend, and then have our risk management spot on. But this is certainly something that would get much more active, and something I would use, if we're starting to lose relevant bullish support levels. Certainly 1534. This is going to be a relevant one that we've been talking about throughout June and May, while we expected prices to go lower, which they did, to hit our yellow trend reversal area here. Okay, so if I zoom in a little bit, we can see that obviously Ethereum pushed higher, made its 5-wave move up. Okay, ideally I would like to see a little bit more upside. I've introduced a change on this chart now. So we've got still our wave 1, we've got our wave 2, our 3, our wave 4, which bottomed yesterday here, and the wave 5 to the upside, only in 3 waves so far. But I said to you, it might only get or give us 3 waves. So to keep expectations lower intentionally, I've labeled it the last wave up now as ABC, because it can be counted as a diagonal. I still think in this C wave we could get one more high, but it's too short for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm labeling it as an ABC, unless something super bullish is going on, which I don't believe at this stage, but it could be. Super bullish would be a 1, 2, 1, 2 setup, which would then take off. I don't believe it until I see it. Just be aware, possible, but in my opinion, rather unlikely at this stage. So ABC and then a deeper setback, likely. But, they can always surprise. So that's where tactics come in. What you can't predict, you can manage with tactics. And tactically speaking, it would make sense to hold a core position, in my opinion, which I have. So I mentioned that many times now. Because if it extends, which it can do in a third wave, then things can take off quickly and a lot of people will be caught off guard. Nobody on this channel though. All right, and then in the very short term in the C wave, I think there could be one more tiny high, because this would be a small 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe one more high in a wave 5 to the 1960 to 1980 area. That's what I highlighted yesterday. Why is that? That is because if we take the length of the A wave here, go to the low of the B wave, then you can see that the 1.618 extension, a common extension target that makes sense here, points towards just below 1980. Yeah, that's my update about Ethereum. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.